His new book is called American Assassin, and I just got it about 2 minutes ago. Good morning, Mr. Flynn.
Good morning, Don.
How are you?
You inspired a character in that novel.
Really?
Stan Hurley.
Really?
He is the advanced read so far. Everybody loves him.
Really?
He makes him want to laugh. He makes him want to cry. He's just,
Well,
if he thinks it, he says it.
you have a new hero in here, right?
Well, this is Mitch Rapp going back to the very beginning. It's a great place to start if somebody hasn't read any of the previous 10 Rapp novels.
Like me.
Like you.
Right.
And you'll get a kick out of this Stan Hurley because he is one of the meanest, toughest, old school, doesn't take anything from anybody.
Right.
Those who work for him kind of live in abject fear and horror, but they love him. And
Yeah.
when it comes time to kick some you-know-what,
Sure.
Hurley comes in and kicks some you-know-what.
I'm more inspired by your story. Right? I mean, I know the last time you were on we got into it, but
Yeah.
man, what a great story. I mean,
You know, it's fun. I don't know if that first book would have got picked up and published right away. Yeah.
how many rejections did you get?
Over 60. I've got
You know, see,
I have a file at home, too.
Here's something else that this says to me. As a good lesson, boys and girls, I think it is, that you got 60 rejections, which means you didn't stop submitting it after 5 or 6, which I would have done, or any sane person would have done.
Well, I would say that I go back to my coaches when I was growing up, and I was dyslexic, so I never did good academically in school. But you know, we had I went to an all-male Catholic military high school, and our arch rival was Cretan High School in St. Paul, and we'd beaten them 18 years in a row. And we're in the locker room at halftime, and I play defensive end, and they haven't scored. We're winning 7-0. Chris Walsh is their starting quarterback, who went on to win a Heisman for Miami in a national championship. And then we walk in the locker room, and the first word out of the coach's mouth is, "Vinny Flynn, you little blankety blank blank," you know, reads me up and down, kicks me out of the locker room. Well, when you have your sexuality called into question in front of your entire team, when you're 18 years old in high school, and then you get a rejection letter in the privacy of your own home, you just say, big deal. You know, you just keep going. So, I mean, I think every year in America there's probably 100 novels that are thrillers that are better than anything I'll ever write. And the difference between me and them is they didn't have 4 brothers and 2 sisters and a dad who coached, who told them, you know, get your butt out of bed and keep moving.
That was kind of interesting. Stephen Cannell was on our program on and off for 20 years. And it was a wonderfully, equally inspiring story. And he was dyslexic.
Yeah, there's quite a few of us. I sit on the board of a place in the Twin Cities called the Groves Academy, and talk to these. It's a school for kids with ADD and dyslexia. And I talk to them a lot about how, you know, they're going to be the guys running ad agencies one day. They're going to be the people out there working in Hollywood writing scripts. These little kids who are on Ritalin because they're all ADD, they're going to be some company's top sales rep because they can do the work of 6 guys. So you tell the parents, you know, just it's tough right now, but you got to hang in with it. It's a gift. It just doesn't seem like it when you're little. And Cannell is such a great example of. There's very few people you meet in the entertainment business where somebody has never said a bad word about them.
Oh, what a
He's
lovely
one
guy.
of them. People just adored him, and he was talented to boot.
Yeah.
Not,
we loved the guy. So married to his high school sweetheart, 46 years.
Chose to live in Pasadena rather than on the other side of the hill in the middle of it all. I mean, he's just a prince of a guy. Everybody says that about him.
Charles married his high school sweetheart. Unfortunately, she was also his sister.
Doesn't make me a bad person.
But I'm talking with Vince Flynn. Did you ever read Elmore Leonard's 10 Rules of Writing?
I have not. Funny thing about Elmer is one of my high school classmates married his daughter.
Really?
Jimmy Dudley. Yeah, great guy. What I loved about Elmore's early novels that I haven't read one in probably 15 years, but when I was writing my first book, I read a couple. They're short. You know, they're perfect. You take them on a plane, you whip through them, and the writing is raw. It's unlike almost anything else you read. And he kind of has this great plot where the hero is the least bad of the bad guys. Kind of a Dirty Harry, Clint Eastwood spaghetti western kind of deal.
Nobody better. And his dialogue.
Yeah, his dialogue's spot on.
Yeah, so. How do you read now? Do you read on a Nook, a Kindle?
I'm getting in trouble for this now. I got an email from somebody at Barnes & Noble the other day saying, I hear you don't have a Nook.
All right.
And I said, well, I wanted one for Christmas last year, but you guys, you pooched the punt on that deal, and it didn't come out till March. So I will probably buy the Nook this week. I'm a Mac guy, so I have the iPad. I also have the Kindle, and I love them all.
Okay, if you have the iPad,
Yep,
simply download the Nook app.
I've got it.
Do
I've got
that?
it on there, but I have to. Barnes &
what?
Noble's a very good customer.
Oh, no, I
account.
love Barnes & Noble.
So I'm under pressure to actually buy the Nook, and I will. This is my business, so I have to give it a try.
Well, I have the Nook.
You
but-
have the Nook as well.
Yes, and Barnes & Noble is a sponsor of ours.
I know that. I watch your show almost every morning.
Okay. It's a lot more convenient for me to read on the iPad. I mean,
See, I don't know if they want you saying that.
well, I can't help it.
Honesty.
I mean, I buy everything I buy from Barnes & Noble.
You buy it through their website.
Yes, and I downloaded their app. What do they want? Why do they have the app if they don't want me to use it on the iPad?
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Well, this weekend I read Born to Run. You read that yet?
No, I think I've heard about it though. It's all about isn't it also the way that these runners are born? The distance between their foot and their knee and everything, and they're the ultra
no, it's
marathoners.
more than that.
Okay.
It's a great book. And then I read. I didn't read your book this weekend. I mean,
What? Come on.
no, I'm just.
I tease you. I have family members who haven't read my book. I got six siblings and they haven't read them.
Here's the good thing about you is you don't get all your little panties in a knot.
No.
When I mention other people's book, and you know why you don't? Because you've had 12 #1 bestsellers, and you'll have a 13th. This will be the 12th.
I like to think it's partially the way my parents raised me.
Yeah. So tell me. We're talking with Vince Flynn. His new book's called American Assassin. It will be published tomorrow. What's this about now?
It's Mitch Rapp, my main character, and it's him being recruited into the CIA back in the early '90s, and him going on his first operation. And there's a scene at the end of this book that takes place in Beirut. This is probably the hardest book I had to do research-wise, and I've written about top secret stuff that goes on at the Department of Energy and the Pentagon, and but it was hard to go back in time. And one of the interesting things was no cell phones. And I've gotten so used to being able, if a character wants to talk to another character, they pick up the phone and they call them. And now you got to go find a payphone, and you're in Beirut, and there aren't any payphones, so they're using two-way radios. But this actually, it makes me a little nervous. This has been my most positively reviewed book. And it makes me anxious because you think if I'm starting to please some of those people, I might have just missed the mark.
Because that's a good
Am
point.
I right, Charles?
I think so.
However, just the fans who bought the other 11
Yeah.
are going to buy this, and that puts us on the bestseller list. What do you care? So.
Well, you have to maintain. You cannot take this for granted in this business.
Understand.
Every year you got to produce. You got to come out with a good book.
I asked you last time you were here, how'd you find out about all this? I mean, you were at Kraft Foods doing something, selling that cheese that clogs up your arteries. So,
I got in trouble with Esther because you had me on I did a call-in a couple of months later, and you guys were razzing me about it. My wife thought it was. She laughed so hard when we're talking about Porter Goss saying, "Geez, you got to think we come up with a better plan than the guy from Kraft telling you what to do." So she thought it was great. You taking a shot at me.
I wasn't taking a shot at you, Ben.
That was fine. Hey, Don, I have 4 brothers. I can handle it.
Yeah, but you're mischaracterizing
So my point is, if I said if Frank Rich, can go from being the theater critic to a man who shapes, national policy, one would think.
Yeah.
And then I got a phone call from Esther threatening to break my kneecaps if I took a shot at Frank again.
Well, Frank's a panty-wearing sicky boy. I mean, I love Frank, but he's
a very talented writer. We're just
wrong
on the
about
polar opposites.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
But he's wrong about everything. So anyway, so how did you find out all about this?
I just started networking. The old 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
I had a brother who's a cop, and he, arrested a bank robber. And I met a guy through the FBI that way. I had an uncle who was in the Marine Corps. I met a couple of Secret Service guys through him. I just kept working and working and working. The thing now is they come to me because I'm not like a reporter, and I have a theory.
Who comes to you?
People from the Pentagon, people from Langley, people from the FBI.
This is really scary.
No, so listen, hear me out for a second.
I almost didn't believe me.
You want to know why these books work? Because the heroes are the men and women in uniform, and the people from the CIA and the FBI, people like that. The reason why a lot of reporters who try to write thrillers, why those novels don't work, is because guess who their hero is? A reporter. And that's like having your hero be a politician. It's really hard for the average person to buy into. And so because I stand up for those men and women, they know that I'm not going to take a cheap shot at them.
So when somebody comes to you from one of the agencies,
Yep.
either the CIA or many of the ones we don't even know about, but you do.
Well,
Okay. Oh, they come to you why?
they typically come as fans, and I've reached out to some of them before and sat down. You know, I've got contacts in D.C. I'll make calls when I go to town. I'll sit down. I'll meet with people, talk off the record. And I swear to this day, despite being accused by Donald Rumsfeld and some other people of publishing classified information, the couple of times that's happened, it's been a guess.
Really?
My sources will take me to a point, and then I have to fill in the blanks. And I think part of that is that's that dyslexic gift of being able to look down the road and say, all right, this is where it's going. If I know X, Y, and Z, I know that they probably have. I mean, if I was running, things in Washington, the last thing I'd want to do is bring a high-value terrorist suspect back to the United States.
Yeah.
I think I'd go put him in some dungeon in Eastern Europe.
Well, so the reason. So I'm slow connecting the dots here. But one of the reasons these are popular, apparently, is because they're probably true.
There's a lot of that in there, and there's a lot of people that want to read and see, what did he come up with now? What's the next deal? Which is a bit of a challenge with this one because it's a prequel. So, like Glenn Beck asked me a couple of weeks ago, he said, what did you predict in this one? And I'm like, I didn't predict anything. It took place in 1993. So this is more of a putting terrorism in context and understanding. I know you have Tom Friedman on all the time. That great book, From Beirut to Jerusalem. This is kind of that kind of thing.
I love Glenn Beck.
He is one of the nicest, funniest guys I've ever met. Unbelievably talented, and people always ask me, "Is that who he is?" I said, "Yeah, that's exactly who he is."
That's insane. So, I really
Well, aren't we all a little bit?
No, I mean, I'm not talking about his, whatever this program this mission he's on. I just mean him personally. He's a delightful guy. And you're right, anybody who has that kind of a sense of humor, I always think is probably.
Well, we reached out to him and said, Don gets very upset if you don't go on his show first. Would it be all right if he said?
No, I don't.
He said, I don't want to deal with it. Absolutely. He'll throw a hissy fit. You go do that one first.
Bernie, what questions you want me to ask him?
The Mumbai-style attack report on Europe. How do we know this?
Yeah.
How do we know it?
Yeah. Is it credible? What?
It is credible. They picked up a couple of guys that started talking about it. They've got signal intelligence. This is the scary deal, and I think I actually mentioned it on your show last year that the future of this was going to be they were going to give up on the bombs because they keep screwing it up. If you talk to guys who work for the bomb squad here in New York City, they'll tell you it's actually really hard to make one of these things and make them go pop the way they're supposed to.
Sure.
But they learned something from Fort Hood. They learned something from Mumbai. Guns and bullets. Guns and bullets and fires work. So there's been quite a few of us here in the States who've been whispering to the right people, you got to start protecting these hotels. You got to get out in front of these airports at the curb. Don't stand inside. Oh. Get out in front with SWAT guys because the fear is, they're going to pull up in a van and 6 guys are going to pile out. And there's 1,000 people waiting to get through security with one cop with a .40 caliber Glock standing inside.
What's this about again, American Assassin?
It's about Mitch Rapp being recruited and trained and going on his first mission, his first kill, his first big screw you to Washington when they tell him to do something and he does the exact opposite.
The overall plot involves what?
It involves a group of terrorists who have kidnapped a high-value target in Beirut. And Rapp has been tasked to go in and try to get him out.
Sounds pretty exciting, doesn't it? I was thinking about
You
it.
don't sound like it.
Well, no,
I sound like I put you to sleep.
No, I was just thinking about it. Because the fact that so much of it is based on probably fact, and I understand you haven't divulged any classified information, but I was just thinking about what this probably means. So
this would be a fun one for you to read. You'll fly through it. As fast as you read, you'll fly through it, and you'll get a huge kick out of Stan Hurley.
Is it? Can I download it from Nook?
Tomorrow morning.
I can?
Yeah, tonight, midnight, I guess.
I can't stay up that late. Nice to see you. Thanks.
Good to see you.
American Assassin, Vince Flynn, out tomorrow. Coming up on 11 till the hour. 10 to